The ship that returned. After 90 years, it's been almost a century since the American cargo ship called the Eltanin left the shores of New York City. The year was 1925, and the ship was fully loaded with goods ready to be shipped to Cuba. With the cargo secured, the captain set sail and everything seemed fine. But within a few weeks, communications with the ship were lost. No one knew where the ship had gone or if it had met some sort of terrible fate. But over time, the mystery of the missing ship faded from public memory until one day in 2015, when the headlines around the world read, "Ghost Ship Returns After 90 Years." What did this mean? How could a ship that had been missing for 9 decades just show up again without anyone knowing where it had been or how it got back to the world of the living? Welcome back, everyone. It's me. And today, we're going to look into the mystery of the Mary Celeste and see if we can shed some light on what really happened to this bizarre ghost ship. Let's begin. A ghostly return. Imagine you are a resident of Havana, Cuba, enjoying the sunny beaches and warm ocean breeze. You work a modest job and live a modest life. Then one morning, you head to the beach to relax, only to find an enormous, mysterious, dilapidated wooden ship sitting there on the shore, like it came from another era. The ship was roughly the size of a football field, and it looked like something from a bygone era. It appeared to be hundreds of years old. Even more puzzling, no one knew where the ship had come from or who owned it. Authorities showed up, but they too were stumped. They found a name painted on the side of the ship, the Eltanin. And that gave them their first clue. The ship had sailed under the flag of the United States. So they contacted the U.S. Embassy in Cuba to ask if they knew anything about the ship or its origins. But the embassy said that there was no record of a ship by that name sailing between the United States and Cuba in recent times. It was as if the ship had materialized out of thin air. The authorities didn't know what to do next, so they decided to board the ship and see if they could find anyone on board or any clues as to where it might have come from. But as they made their way onto the deck, they noticed something strange. There were no signs of life. The ship appeared to be deserted. As they continued to search the ship, they began to uncover more and more evidence that pointed towards a horrifying conclusion. There was no sign of struggle, no indication of foul play, and no obvious cause for the ship to have been abandoned. But the biggest shock of all was yet to come. On board the ship, the authorities found a logbook, which is basically a ship's diary. They hoped it would hold some answers as to what had happened to the crew. And as they flipped through the brittle pages, they discovered the entries stopped abruptly on December 4th, 1925. It was as if someone had literally frozen time. The mystery only deepened. Had the crew met with an accident? Had they been taken hostage? Or had they simply vanished into thin air? A look into the past. In order to understand what may have happened to the crew of the Eltanin, we need to go back to the beginning. We already know that the ship departed New York Harbor on November 1925, bound for Cuba. What we don't know is what happened after that. According to the logbook, the ship had encountered rough seas and stormy weather, which is not unusual for the region. But as the days passed and the ship continued on its journey, things started to take a turn for the worse. On December, the logbook entries indicated that the crew was beginning to panic. They reported seeing strange lights in the sky and hearing strange noises that they couldn't explain. They also reported seeing other ships that appeared to be out of place. Some of the entries were so disturbing that even the most skeptical readers couldn't help but feel a sense of dread. For example, on December 2nd, the logbook reads, "All is not well on board. The men are becoming agitated and fearful. Strange lights and sounds continue to plague us. The compass is spinning wildly, and the ship is being tossed about like a toy in a giant's hand." Was the crew going crazy, or were they onto something? Then there's the entry from December 3rd, which reads, "We have seen enough. The men are now convinced that we are being watched. By something from beyond our world, we cannot fight what is coming. We can only pray for mercy. The next day, December 4th, the entries stop abruptly. The last entry reads, "The end is here. The monster approaches. We can feel its presence all around us." But that's where the story ends. What happened to the crew? Did they vanish? Were they taken by aliens? Or did they suffer some other fate? Theories abound. Over the years, there have been countless theories trying to explain what happened to the crew of the Eltanin. Some believe that the ship entered the infamous Bermuda Triangle, where it was lost forever. Others believe that the crew was the victim of a secret government experiment gone wrong. Still, others believe that the ship was taken by aliens, but in truth, no one knows what really happened. Let's explore the Bermuda Triangle theory first. The Bermuda Triangle is a region in the western part of the North Atlantic Ocean, where many ships and airplanes have mysteriously disappeared. The area is known for its unpredictable weather and strong currents, which makes it a dangerous place to navigate. Some believe that the ship may have become disoriented and run aground. However, there is no evidence to support this theory. If the ship had crashed, there would have been signs of damage, but the ship reappeared in perfect condition. Additionally, if the ship had sunk, the crew would have likely drowned, yet no bodies were ever recovered. Next, let's look at the secret government experiment theory. This theory suggests that the ship may have been part of a top-secret military project that went awry. During World War II, the US military conducted a number of experiments in the Caribbean Sea, including testing new weapons and tracking devices. It's possible that the ship was involved in one of these experiments and something went wrong. However, there is no evidence to support this theory either. If the ship had been involved in a military experiment, there would have been records of it. But the ship seems to have vanished from existence between 1925 and 2015. It's like it was never there at all. Finally, let's consider the alien theory. This is probably the most popular theory, but it's also the least likely. The idea that aliens took the ship and crew is intriguing, but there is no evidence to support it. Additionally, there are a number of logical problems with this theory. If aliens did take the ship, why did they leave it abandoned on the shores of Cuba? Why didn't they launch it into space or take it to their home planet? And why did they stop the ship's logbook in mid-sentence? These are just a few of the many questions that arise when considering this theory. What happened to the ship? With all of the theories considered, what really happened to the crew of the Eltanin? Unfortunately, we may never know for sure. The truth is that the case remains a mystery to this day. When the ship was found, it underwent a thorough investigation, but no evidence of what happened to the crew was ever uncovered. The ship itself was in perfect condition, suggesting that whatever happened to it, it occurred long before it reappeared off the coast of Cuba. But what could have caused such an event? Unfortunately, we can only speculate. Perhaps the ship encountered a severe storm that caused it to become stranded. Maybe it was the victim of a crime, or perhaps it was involved in a secret government experiment that we don't know about. But these are just theories. We may never know what really happened to the crew of the Eltanin. But there's one thing we do know. The ship's logbook provides a fascinating glimpse into the mind of the crew as they encountered whatever fate they met. Their words paint a picture of fear and confusion as they described strange lights and sounds and a presence that they couldn't explain. Whether we believe their story or not, one thing is certain. The crew of the Eltanin never forgot the terror they experienced in those final days on board. So, what do you think happened to the crew of the Eldin? Do you believe their story, or do you have another theory altogether? Let me know in the comments below, and while you're down there, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more videos like this one. Thanks for watching.